A next observation is, you ever wrestle around with a lion or a tiger or a bear? Pick any animal that you wish to kill, and you ever wrestle with a dog that weighs 80 pounds? Not easy. Would you like to fight with one? How do you feel about fighting with 10? How do you feel about trying to run any of these things down? That I read about, in runners' world, right? Runners, they want to tell you about how humans were always made to run, because ancient mankind chased its prey. They could run 20 miles a day or 30 miles a day, and we just run them down until they get tired. Okay, well, that's one idea, and maybe we did. But you ever try to catch something that's running away from you while you're hungry around dinner time? I don't really want to run for 20 hours straight until I tire it to death. I have a better idea, which is hit it with a missile. And by the way, I really mean literally missiles. I mean a sling, a primitive sling, or I mean an arrow. And then I think they found arrowheads that go back 100,000 years. I mean, like they're old. Most people think of a slingshot, and they think about the kids' slingshot with the rubber band and the like the kids play with. But
this is more like David and Goliath sling, right?
Yeah, if you study Roman history and you go back 1,000 years before Rome, they had slingers. I mean, the Balearic Islands, like Ibiza, they were very famous for slingers. And if you read about them, what they'll say in the ancient text is the natives of the Balearic Islands were raised from age 3. Before they could speak, they were raised to operate a sling. The sling is about 6 to 8 feet long. It's made of animal fiber. And, throw a baseball, and you've seen highlight, right? If I increase the lever at the end, and if your arm was 12 feet long, you generate some serious leverage, a whip action. So those slings give the average person the equivalent of a 10-foot long or a 12-foot long, probably 10-foot long arm. And they practice with those for years, from age 3. You can imagine after 15 years of practicing, you get pretty good. And they weren't slinging little light stones or the shit that you pick up on the seashore. They're actually forming lead bullets. Okay? Everybody thinks, oh yeah, bullets are from guns. Well, they're not. I mean, people invented bullets thousands of years before guns. Guns were just the latest idea of putting bullets together with gunpowder. The lead bullets probably came along 10,000 BC. And maybe more, maybe 100,000 BC. This is a straightforward idea. If your life depended upon it, you would figure it out. And the figuring out is you get yourself a very dense bullet, you put it in a sling. You ever seen a good pitcher? A good pitcher can place the ball, 90 feet away, plus or minus 4 inches? Can a good pitcher hit you in the head if you're standing on the plate? Okay, now imagine someone that's pitching a 1-inch or a 1/2-inch stone bullet, or a lead bullet, from 50 yards away that can hit you in the head every time. Because the Romans said they could. Okay, right? Now, so now think about that, and this is how bad it is, right? We talk about this in a bit, but to make the point, these guys could stand 100 meters, 200 meters off, and from 200 meters off, they could actually hit an animal in the head or another human being in the head. And it didn't matter if they hit you in the head. If they hit you in your torso, they're going to rupture your ribs, and you may have organ failure. There's even stories, Livy, when he writes about the Second Punic War, he writes about Roman slingers, and they sling so many of these things that they pretty much break all the bones of the galls beneath their armor.
Wow.
If they're wearing leather armor, their ribs are broken. And if they're not wearing leather armor and they get hit, just like getting hit with a bullet in your helmet, it may still give you a concussion. They're getting concussions. it was never a fair fight. No, try taking your 8-foot long spear and having a fair fight with a wolf or a pack of wolves. No, right? A bear? No. Humanity wouldn't be here if we hunted or defended ourselves using spears or using, these things, these short, close quarter swords and clubs, they're all very romantic and they film well in Hollywood movies, and they're great for gladiatorial combat because you've got the two adversaries that are in the same frame.
Right.
But if you go back a million years, the adversaries were never in the same frame. If you made it this far and you were a human being, you mastered the art of death from above.
Right.
Killed from a distance and nobody knew that you were there. It's not a modern invention. Not only would you stand back 50 meters or 100 meters, you would stand up. And by the way, you would be up, at the top of the hill where you have gravity working for you. That gives you more range. You would be back. If you're really smart, Robert, like if I told you there's a bunch of whatever creatures on the plain and any one of them can eat you or trample you, wouldn't you like to stand up 20 feet on a cliff that they cannot run up? Stand up 20 feet above them, wait for them to come by, blast them either with a sling or use a bow and arrow. And if you miss, what happens if you miss?
Just load up and go again, right?
How many chances do you get?
Yeah. I think.
Till you run out of bullets?
Right.
Now, what happens if you walk down on the plain with your beautiful spear and sword with all of your buddies standing next to you and fight it out?
Risk of ruin. Can never take that on. I think this is very interesting, and it also highlights another difference that we have from animals. I know that humans are one of the few animals that rely on visual acuity as their primary sense. I think it's humans and predatory birds. And then it also comes down to our dexterity, right? Our ability to handle and manipulate bow and arrow, sling, these types of missile weapons. Just sort of highlights, again, kind of a difference in us and everyone else. And those two things, too, are both intimately related with speech and thought and other tool making. So I think that's very interesting.
You think about the idea of missiles, right? I need my eyes, I need my brain, I need to set up the kill zone. Oh, by the way, I left off one other observation, right? It's 500,000 years ago. You want to kill something, you're downwind from it. The sun is to your back. You're above it, and you have a missile. And hopefully you have a channel, right? Mm-hmm. If you really want, but it's like you really want to live, you're going to go find that spot. You're going to say, at this point in the day, the sun is going to be to my back. The prevailing winds are going to be blowing in my face. I'm going to be 20 feet up. Oh, there's a path up here, but guess what? I'm going to block that path because I don't want the bear running up to eat me once I start killing it, right? Then I'm going to make sure I got 100 missiles. And again, it's not a fair fight. And there's only two types of human beings. There's the type that figured that out, and that's your grandparents. Mm-hmm. And there's the type that were a bit sloppy about one of those things, and they didn't make it. They're gone.
This all calls to mind Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War. I'm going to paraphrase here, but he said terrain is the most important aspect of any battle. It's almost like the smart general only goes into battle essentially knowing that he's won based on these preparations like you're describing, right? Sun at your back, wind at your back, high on the hill, undercover, plenty of missiles.
Technologies that are dominating today, they're dominating because they're able to deliver force faster, harder, stronger, smarter. Like if you're going to dominate, how do you deliver force harder, faster, stronger, smarter? And I could think of 100 examples in history, and you tend to see those things. So if it's got the characteristic that it can be made harder, it can be made smarter, it can be made stronger, it can be made faster, there's something compelling about it. That's why digital gold is thousands of times better than gold, because you've got all those dimensions to work on. That's why the natural creature, gold is a rock, a bear is a bear, a mastodon is a mastodon. They're not getting harder, faster, stronger, smarter. They're just doing what they do. Human beings are, but only because of innovation. And so missiles are just a tool, but they're illustrative. Fire is an energy network, an energy source. It's a battery, an energy source, and you can deliver it in a certain way. And then that takes us to hydraulics.